Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for being able to come to our event, and excited to see everybody on the Facebook Live joining us here today. So we're going to be going through our seller seminar and being able to really be able to connect with the home sellers of BC, Fraser Valley specifically. And I'm excited for you to join us here today. So Jessica, our MC tonight, is going to be able to take us off and being able to give us all the goods and walk us through exactly what it takes to sell a home here in the Fraser Valley. Jessica, off to you.
Thank you, Brandon. So welcome everyone to our home seller's guide to selling your home, getting the best bang for your buck. We've brought together an amazing team of professionals tonight that are all going to talk about their specific craft and hopefully help you sell your home. So let's take a look at our agenda. So like I said, we're very excited to welcome you. We have 6 amazing resources who each experts in their field. We'll be helping us break down the 6 steps to selling your home. Following the presentation, we will allow some time for a Q&A period. And since we all know why you're actually here, we'll be doing the giveaway for the $100 gift card. And this will be to the place of your choice. So if you are our winner, we'll get in contact with you and you can let us know where you'd like to go. Our presentation should take about 30 minutes, and then we'll do our quick Q&A giveaway, get you off, let you enjoy the rest of your evening. So let's get started. So as you can see, we've broken down the home selling process into 6 easy bite-sized steps. Myself, my name is Jessica. It's nice to meet you all. Thank you for being here. I am a mortgage broker with DLC Harmony Mortgage Group. I will be breaking down the pre-qualification process, speaking with a mortgage broker. We have Michele Cummins with the Michele Cummins Real Estate Group with Remax. She will be giving you all the information you need to connect with a realtor. We have Corinne Janzen joining us with Essential Staging. We'll be discussing everything you need to know about making your home stand out from the crowd. We have Ken Oldale with a Buyer's Choice Home Inspection. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to be here with us in person, but he's put together an amazing presentation with some awesome tips about completing a pre-sale inspection. We have Ishpreet with RDM Lawyers. He will be helping guide you through what you need to know about the legal process of selling your home. And last, but definitely not least, we've got Brandon Kirk, who is an amazing financial planner with Primerica. He'll be helping us touch base on what you can do with any leftover sale proceeds and how to make your money work for you. So let's get started. So first step, home selling process, is to get your finances in line and get pre-qualified for the new home you will be buying. And this is where I come in. So very first step, no matter if you're upsizing, downsizing, or relocating, make sure you know how much you qualify for when looking for a new home. This is so important because when you go to speak with your realtor, they're going to ask you for your budget. Do not guesstimate how much you qualify for, because this means you're going into the home shopping process not knowing what you're going to be able to afford. Why would you shop for a car if you didn't know your budget? Same thing goes for a house. So what does the qualification process look like? First step is to complete an application. The link to the application can be either emailed or sent via text, and she could only take approximately 20 minutes to complete. It's straightforward, asking for personal details such as name, date of birth, and employment. We want to make sure that you are currently employed and you have been for a minimum of 2 years. It will ask you if you have any other incoming income, such as child tax benefit, pensions such as CPP and old age, or permanent disability. The application also asks you to include a list of your assets and information about current owned residences, including personal or rentals. You need to include all your mortgage details for your current home that you're selling so that we can help figure out a bunch of numbers. I'll be talking about that in a sec. Second step of the qualification process is for the borrower to supply documentation so that we can verify all your income and employment income information, that you've entered into the application. But as a normal employed person, you only really need to supply your last 2 years of T4 documents, notice of assessment, most recent pay stub, and letter of employment. As a self-employed person, it's a little bit more in depth, but to be totally honest, you really only need to supply your last 2 years of T1 generals, your notice of articles, your copy of your business license for your last 2 years, and your most recent business financial statements. We use this information plus other documentation that we ask for to verify your information and confirm your employment income. The other great thing a mortgage broker can help you do is help determine how much you're going to have left over from your sale to use as a down payment on your new home. We're able to help give a rough estimate once you pay off your debt and your current mortgage with penalty and discharge fees, plus your realtor fees. We'll be able to help calculate how much you have left over for a down payment, plus closing costs for the new property you're going to be looking at buying once the sale is complete. Once we're able to get through this step, which is just the nitty gritty and the boring stuff you have to do first, you get to be on to the next step, which is connecting with your realtor. We have Michele Cummins tonight with the Michele Cummins Real Estate Group with Remax to speak more thoroughly about what this step looks like. So please take it away, Michele.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Hello, everyone. Good evening, and everyone in the Facebook world. So working with a realtor, what to expect. So as you see on the screen, I do have a home buyer's handbook, which I would love to email out to any of you who would like. I've got it's a lot of good information, especially if you haven't sold in a while. There's always rules changing, terminologies changes, lots of things have changed. So definitely reach out and ask for one of these brochures if you would like that. So what does a realtor give you? So one of the biggest things, fiduciary duties, confidentiality, loyalty, insurance coverage, professional advice and guidance, and so much more. You want the highest price possible, and that's in your pocket, not just on the sold price. So hiring a professional gets you results that you want. And setting the right price for your home is key. With a comparative market analysis, which is an evaluation and possibly an appraisal, depending on how unique your property is. Cost versus value, days on the market versus percentage of list price received. Also, at this juncture, we want to see if there's any improvements that can be done to the home or property in order to appeal to more buyers and possibly get you more equity out of your home and property. This can be done by upgrades, touch-ups, staging, improvements. So much could be done, and you need an outside professional advice so you know not what to spend your money on and what to spend your money on in order to make you a higher percentage dollar. So marketing is the next step. Marketing, and it's not just putting it on the MLS and putting a post on the social media. Marketing is so much more. So your realtor has to have a great marketing strategy, and you should ask them, what is their strategy to sell your home particularly? It doesn't matter if it's the same old house, a BC box, or the Taj Mahal, a lot, a mobile home, whatever you may be, waterfront, heritage home. Every home is unique and different and deserves marketing for its target buyer. So you want the most exposure. That's so important. You want the highest views of your property. So the start of it all is identifying the target buyer for your property. Who's willing to pay more than anyone else and who's mostly motivated. You may have one or multiple target buyers. Realtors access to MLS, but as well, working 24/7 to sell your property through networking, newsletters, flyers, paid for boosted targeted ads on social media channels, magazine ads, newspaper advertisements, videos, drone video, cinematography video, radio ads, TV commercials. There's so many ways to get your property exposure. So you should hire somebody who knows how to market and expose your home. I am a certified luxury marketing specialist, so I would love to do that for you. I have amazing, great ideas, but you definitely need to do that. Very important. And ask your realtor that question. And then showings. What happens during showings? Well, other agents will be showing your home. Your realtor will be showing your home. There'll be open houses possibly. So this is a team effort. It's not just your realtor. It really helps if you put some, elbow grease into it as well, because you'll get more money that way. And the biggest ways you can contribute is by having your home as clean as possible with a fresh or nice scent for all showings. Cleanliness is next to godliness when it comes to selling your home. Buyers can feel the difference, and it makes or breaks them offering on your property a lot of times. I can't tell you how many times I went to open the door of a home and my buyer just, even though it was perfect for them, they wouldn't even walk through the door because of the smell. So be very sensitive in knowing and just being outside of you as a seller and think of yourself as a buyer. They will think you don't care for your home if they see that you can't bother to pick up and clean up or make the bed before a showing. So it is really important to spend that time. And then you don't want to be there during showings, as it makes buyers uncomfortable. You want to step out about 15 minutes or so earlier before a showing and have all your lights on, even during the day. Think of a show home, a new model show home. During the day, they have every single light on, lamp, all the blinds are open, curtains open, lots of light. You need lots of light, especially in our climate. So working with offers is the next step. Hopefully you're getting good offers. You should be if it's marketed correctly, and if it's priced right, and if it's been staged and it showcases well. So is the buyer qualified though? So this is where your realtor has to make sure and follow up and that they are qualified, that they've seen their mortgage broker and has been approved. Meaning, are they approved, as I said, and do they have a substantial enough deposit? Deposits do have their place. What's an acceptable offer? Well, is the first offer the best offer? I am actually a certified negotiator as well. And you just have to work with people and humans and their mindset and know what's important to certain people. Sometimes the dates are more important. Sometimes an included item of the hot tub, or, you just never know what may be important to the buyer versus the seller, and vice versa. So you want to look at the three options of what you can do once you get an offer. You can accept the offer as is with no changes, of course, or you can counter offer. And that counter offer could be countering terms or conditions. It could be removing conditions. It could be changing the dates or price, deposit. There's a lot of ways that you can counter. It's not always just the price, or you can deny it altogether. Why would you deny an offer altogether? Well, if it's a real lowball offer, maybe you denying it wakes the buyer up and they come back with a much stronger offer. So there's a place for all those three options that you have. So how to handle multiple offers? Well, we will touch base on that on another seminar. But now finalizing the deal. Okay, you've accepted an offer. You have the purchase and sale agreement. You're halfway there. Now there's buyer's inspections that the buyers have. There's the appraisal that their bank will need to have done. The buyer will have to get approval for insurance. So these are called conditions to the offer before it goes firm, or subjects. And it's typically before the deposit comes in. So we got to go through that phase, typically 7 to 8, possibly 10 days long before you know if it's firm. And then closing on the sale of your home. So typically it happens about a month or a month and a half after subjects are removed and an offer is firm and the deposit's been placed into trust. But that can be it could be 6 months, it could be a month, it could be 2 weeks, literally, but it could be any time you and the buyer agree on, but typically a month and a half or so. And so then you want to be able to, first thing you do when that deposit comes in and you know it's firm is you choose a lawyer such as Ishpreet to do the conveyancing for you. This is a very important step, as you can imagine, and Ishpreet will tell you more about that later. But you want to make sure all of the paperwork gets to your lawyer right away, and then the closing happens seamlessly. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out. And I want to hand it over to our stager, and she can explain to you how to best prepare your home to make the highest price possible. Corinne, take it away.
Thanks so much, Michele. So thank you everyone for coming out tonight. First of all, I'm Corinne Janzen with Essential Staging. So the first thing I would like to talk about is, what is staging anyway? Staging is, as Michele mentioned, a marketing tool to prepare your home to be listed for sale. It sets the tone for how a potential buyer is going to feel when they walk into your home. The emotional connection a staged home creates is what will get them to want to stay. Next, we're going to go over 3 common misconceptions about staging. First, staging is the same as decorating. Well, decorating is arranging a room around how you want to live, and it's for your purpose and for your comfort and how you want to use the space. Whereas staging takes a different angle. It shows a space in order to sell it. It takes into consideration a potential buyer's purpose to show how a space is meant to be used and how they can potentially live in it. The second misconception is that staging is just decluttering. Well, decluttering is actually what you do first so that we can stage. When 90% of buyers can't see beyond the stuff that's in someone else's home, decluttering is actually the first step in preparing your home so a potential buyer can see beyond all this stuff and instead see the opportunity that your home offers. The third misconception is that staging isn't necessary. Well, you heard it from Michele, how important it is as far as marketing your home is concerned. As is just doesn't cut it with today's buyers. They want to feel like the home they're buying is move-in ready. For the money they're paying, they don't want to feel like they're buying a project. I like to compare staging to how you would go the extra mile when you are preparing to detail your car to get it ready to sell on Marketplace, just to make a few extra $100 compared to other similar cars. Now think about your home. It's your biggest asset. There's a lot of equity at stake and competition is heating up. We've seen a lot of price reductions out there. So you might not think you need to stage your home, but the neighbor down the road who is competing for the same buyer just staged theirs. So there's more at stake when selling your home than your car. So that's something to think about. I want to talk next about the difference between vacant and occupied listings. Vacant listings have no furniture in place. They show every single flaw. Rooms appear very small because there's no reference point. They typically feel cold and there's no emotional connection, as you can see by this photo. You can see, though, by the next photo, how staging addresses all of that. Now that looks a whole lot better if you ask me. Now, occupied listings are when we use some of the homeowner's own furniture, we reimagine it, we reuse some of it, we repurpose it, sometimes we remove it, and then we add some of our own from our staging inventory. And this is done to create proper function and flow, and it shows off the space so that buyers can see it in its best light. So the last thing I want to talk about is, well, why should you stage? The main reason is because you only get one chance to make a first impression. Lately, we've seen a lot more inventory, which means a lot more competition, higher rates, which means lower budgets for most buyers, and higher listing prices, which means buyers are pickier. You need to find a way to set yourself apart in order to capture every dollar, and it's important to make that first impression a good one. So staging is a tool that will help you do that so you have shorter days on market and more and better offers. And I'll leave you with this thought. An investment in staging will cost less than your first price reduction. So now I'd like to introduce Ken Oldale, who's going to tell us about some really great pre-sale inspection tips. Take it away, Ken.
Hi, everyone. It's Jessica again. Ken, unfortunately, was not able to be with us this evening, but he's put together a wonderful presentation for you. And I'm just going to be turning it on here with his points. Just give me one sec. And here we go.
Good evening, everybody. This is Ken from A Buyer's Choice Home Inspections. Thanks for joining us tonight on the Seller Seminar. Now that you've connected with your mortgage broker, talked to your realtor, spoken to your home staging professional, it's time to consider a pre-sale home inspection. What is a pre-sale home inspection, you wonder? Well, it's essentially the same home inspection you would get as a buyer, but it's performed for the seller instead. Why would you want to do this, you wonder? Well, you can reduce the chances of last-minute negotiations. Buyers knowing the condition of the home up front, they can make their original offer accordingly, limiting the chances of renegotiating last minute, or even worse, walking away altogether. The buyer's offer, they can then have fewer conditions, speeding up the process and allowing them to have quicker subject removal date. Having the information on the current condition of the home often leads to better offers for more money. The buyers often feel more confident up front making the offer. Knowledge is empowering, right? This in turn allows for a faster and less stressful sale in the end. Knowing the condition of the home up front allows you, the seller, to address any issues yourself. You can consider repairs you, the seller, deem important, or obtain your own estimates prior to listing. Often getting your own estimates can be done before listing and can potentially save you money. We all know buyers often inflate reduction request amounts at last minute negotiations. You can also schedule the home inspection when it's convenient for you. When the buyer schedules it, it's often when it works for them and their agent instead of when it works for you. You may work odd hours or have kids or elderly in your house. We can work around that and get it done for when it works for you. We also, once completed the inspection and your house is listed, we offer the ability to put up a pre-inspection signage in the front of your home if it's deemed desirable for you, to advertise the home for being pre-inspected. We can also do some co-marketing with your agent and post on our social media pages. But if you feel like you don't want to share the report, that's an option as well. Sometimes sellers just keep the report for their own knowledge, and that's okay too. Thanks for joining me and us tonight. And if you wish to contact me with any further questions, please don't hesitate. Thanks for coming tonight.
And thank you, Ken, for putting together that awesome presentation. And next up, we're going to be speaking with Ishpreet at RDM Lawyers as he goes over a little bit about the legal process. And take it away, Ish.
Thanks, Jessica. So good evening, everybody. My name is Ishpreet. I'm a real estate lawyer with RDM Lawyers. I'd like to also welcome and thank everybody for joining us this evening. And today I'll be briefly talking about what a real estate lawyer does in the home selling process, what a seller can expect as far as the closing the sale of their home, and lastly, what factors a seller should consider when choosing a real estate professional. So a real estate lawyer typically gets involved in the home selling process to assist with the closing or completion of the transaction. This phase of the process comes after a contract has been signed and all conditions have been removed. Generally speaking, this is the process whereby the title to the property is transferred from buyer to seller and funds are exchanged, among other things. Having said that, lawyers can get involved at other stages of the home selling process, such as with contract review and with related legal matters connected to the sale of their home. I always advise my clients to get me involved very early in the process so adequate planning can be done, which will ensure that the transaction proceeds in the smoothest way possible. Next, I wanted to briefly highlight what a home seller can expect at the closing. During this phase, typically what happens is the law firm or notary representing the buyer will prepare closing documents, which are forwarded to the seller's representative for review. The seller's lawyer will then review the documents to verify all the information is accurate and will also conduct the necessary searches and request the necessary documents. The seller's lawyer may review title, property tax information, and order payout statements if there are any mortgages or other financial encumbrances on title that need to get paid out. Next, this is also the process, point in time when the seller would meet with their lawyer to review and execute the closing documents. And thereafter, the seller's lawyer would ensure that the transaction proceeds and closes smoothly. The last point I wanted to address is what factors should a seller consider when they are choosing a real estate professional. Oftentimes, the first consideration is if they should go with a real estate lawyer or with a notary. A common misconception is that many people think that lawyers are much more expensive than notaries, which isn't the case. The legal fees between a lawyer and a notary are not vastly different, and they are pretty standard in the industry. More importantly, a seller should understand that before choosing between a lawyer and notary, they should know that notaries can only provide a limited range of legal services. Therefore, if things don't go as planned, a notary can't represent the seller in disputes nor provide legal advice. And in these cases, it's generally better to be working with a lawyer because they have the ability to continue to help you through the rest of the transaction and address any unforeseen issues. The second, and in my opinion, one of the most important considerations a seller should take into account when they are choosing a real estate professional is they want to choose somebody that has experience, that they can trust and get along with, and that has a good reputation. With RDM Lawyers, we're a very well-established law firm. We've been in the community for over 50 years, and we've assisted with thousands of transactions. So in addition to that, a seller should definitely choose a real estate professional that they communicate well with and who they generally feel good and at ease speaking with and dealing with through what can oftentimes seem like a daunting process. An experienced real estate lawyer will be able to take that stress away from their client and give them confidence that their sale will complete without a hitch. So in conclusion, I'd like to thank everyone again for attending and listening, and now I'll hand it off to financial advisor Brandon Kirk.
Thank you, Ishpreet, for the amazing information and making this a legal process so much easier to understand. So now that we have gone through all of the processes of getting your home sold, now what do we do with the proceeds? So the first step in this plan is establishing your goals and where you need to allocate your money for your short and your long-term goals. Secondly, is you want to use your registered account allowances and understanding what non-registered investing options you have over and above your TFSA allowances. Next is building a sound relationship with your money and what you want to provide you. This is everything from your next home to vacations, aiding family with their purchases, education, and in the long term, looking at how this affects your retirement. And that brings us to our last and final point, is establishing your FIN. What is a FIN, you ask? This is called a financial independence number. And this is going to be the most important number for you when it comes to having a great relationship with your money and knowing that you indeed have enough. It's so important. We've actually prepared a video for you that's going to give you a complete insight of what this is.
Numbers have been used to decode secrets in our universe. Gravity, absolute zero, the speed of light. Likewise, there's an important number that can decode a secret in your life. It's called your financial independence number. This is the most important number in your financial life, and yet most of us have never even heard of it. It's the amount of money that you need to accumulate in order to no longer depend on a paycheck for the rest of your life. Without it, we're guessing, and that's dangerous. Pensions are gone. Social Security comes with risk. People are living longer than ever. With your financial independence number, you know where you're going and can be more confident in your path. And here's a tip. When you see it, don't be intimidated. Just ask, how can I get there? The answer is in the number. Let us help you discover yours.
So with discovering your financial independence number, that starts with a conversation after you've spoken with all of your professionals. Now, this number ranges from $1 to $3 to $5 million for the average Canadian family. And like the video said, don't be scared about the number. Allow me to help you reverse engineer of how to get there. So in recap, we want to be able to look at all of the professions and all the people we spoke with here today. So step one, getting your finances aligned by getting pre-qualified and knowing exactly what your shopping budget for your new home is going to be. Secondly is connecting with your lovely realtor and start the conversation of what selling your current home and buying your new home is going to look like. Third, home staging. This can make such a huge difference and help make your first impression the lasting impression the potential home buyer needs to make it their forever home. Step four, a pre-sale inspection is such a great way and a tool to address any concerns and reduce the chance of last-minute renegotiations and allow you to solidify top dollar for your sale. Step five, the legal process can be extremely daunting, and it really can be broken down into bite-sized, easy to understand chunks that are easy and simple to get through with the help of our real estate lawyer. And step six, utilize your proceeds and your testament of assets when it comes to the proceeds of your sale to best utilize and have the ability to make sure your money is working for you. So with this here, we're going to bring up some contact information, how you can reach out to us here. So Jessica, I'll pass it back to you and we'll be able to finalize our presentation.
Thank you, Brandon. So now on the screen, we have up half of our contact information, which if you'd like, you can take a photo of or note down. We are going to be following up the presentation with an email, or if you need the contact information, you're more than welcome to reach out to any of us. I'm going to be leaving this for a few minutes while we do some questions and answers. And then I'll be switching it to the next slide, which has the remainder of the speakers on it. So we hope you found the information extremely informative and interesting. So with that being said, does anybody have any questions? Feel free to come off mute or use the chat box to ask your questions, and we would be more than happy to help you. We will just give it a minute here. Will people either come off mute and figure it out, or if no one has any questions because we did our job, but we'll see. And the presentation was awesome. Everybody did an amazing job. Do any of the presenters have any questions that they think that our listeners might find interesting or helpful?
Yes, Michele, I have a question for you.
Okay,
So
ask away, Brandon.
you bet. So when it comes to a seller's presentation, there's this thing called a comparative market analysis that I see in my house. It comes in here. I wanted to be able to get a little bit more information on what a comparative market analysis does and how that really confirms a seller's worth or the selling price of the house.
It is very valuable in determining either a list price or an asking price. And those are two very different things. A list price is a price that you're going to go in at in a seller's market, but you possibly expect to receive more because many properties are selling in multiple offers. We've been in that type of market for about 2 years now, and things are starting to shift now. So now you have the asking price. And asking price it's sort of like, here's my asking price, OBO, or best offer. So to get to the list price or asking price, and which one you should strategically use for your property at whatever time you go on the market, is that comparative market analysis or evaluation, which is the same thing. And what that is much like an appraiser, your realtor, after viewing the property and asking multitude amount of questions about it, like how old is the roof, how old is the hot water tank, the furnace, is there an AC, what are all the added touches that the property has, is it a cul-de-sac, what location is it, how is the neighborhood, size, square footage is huge with the house and the property, is it a sloping property or flat property, there's pages and pages of information that needs to be put into that in order to do adjustments when looking at the most recent sold. So when you look at how long is it taking to sell a single family home right now in the Fraser Valley, well, it should take about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. So pricing it so that it sells within that time frame is so important, but then you only go back a certain amount of time to look at examples or comparables. So every property is unique and there may not be a comparable for your property. So you have examples. So anything that has sold in the last 3 months is where you typically go back. It depends on how quickly the market has shifted. If the market stayed stable for 6 months, then you can go back further if there's not as many sales. So you want at least a good amount of solds as well as current actives and do all the adjustments. And then you come to a good asking price or selling price.
Awesome.
Does that explain it?
That was perfect, Michele. I appreciate it. Our next question came in the box here, and this will be a question for Corinne. So Corinne, Suzanne had asked, how long does it typically take to stage a home before listing it?
That is a very good question. And thank you for that too. It really doesn't actually take that long. It depends. I mean, if it's a vacant property, we can be in and out in probably 3 hours. If it's, and sometimes if it's occupied, it can actually take longer because we're moving someone else's furniture around and we're discovering things we didn't know were there. But definitely less than a day. Just maybe, let's just say half a day, 3 to 4 hours, something like that at the most, unless something weird happens.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Corinne.
I actually had just a comment to make about something that Ishpreet said, and that was that the difference between using a lawyer and a notary, and I think that there really is often a misunderstanding that notaries are going to be a lot cheaper and they're just doing the same thing. And it was interesting to hear that they're really not that much different as far as what you're paying, but that the lawyer can actually represent you and provide you with legal advice Whereas a notary is like there's a stop. They aren't lawyers, and so they can't go that extra mile. So, you are, even if you end up paying a little bit more for a lawyer, although it's not that much different, you're going to be able to actually access a lot more information or a lot more advice, or just feel a little more protected. So I thought that was a really good point that he made.
And from the mortgage broker perspective, there are sometimes situations where we specifically say you should be seeking a lawyer's advice on this application or this file based on what you're bringing us on your new purchase, even like, because we get information from both sides of it when they're kind of in the process. So we can tell them like, seek legal advice, go speak to the real estate lawyer. Please don't go to a notary. This is so important. You need to have these questions answered, because at the end of the day, they have the most amazing advice, the most amazing information for their clients. And it's like you said, the price difference is so minimal. People think they're getting away with this huge cost savings with a notary, and they're really not. So at the end of the day, legal advice, priceless, versus just not knowing all the information.
So true. I have a question for Corinne. So when you stage a home, how much more average wise does a seller make in their pocket?
It's funny because it's really hard to quantify, to be honest with you, because we don't know what it would have sold for without the staging. But what it does do is it generates a whole lot more interest and excitement, and the potential for more offers that are going to be in competition with each other. So there's lots of stats out there. Can I actually validate them? Well, probably not so much. But the one thing that I can say, though, that you can think of it as in bigger terms, is the quote that I used at the end, that your investment in staging is actually going to cost you less than that first price reduction. And right now, just 2 weeks ago, I was dealing with a client. Their house had been on the market for over a month. They were motivated because they'd already bought in another province. They needed to sell, and they had not staged. So they just called me in to go through their house, do what I could do. They quickly did some new pictures. We didn't bring in any inventory, but they got rid of a lot of stuff, and it looked a million times better. Unfortunately, by then, though, they had already dropped the price down by over $300,000. So it would not have cost that much to stage it. So you can imagine.
Yes, I have seen it time and time again, and that's why part of my business plan is staging every single one of my listings because it works. And we have somebody, Terry, from our chat box. He has a question for you. How does one continue living in a staged home? Do you come to the open house to tidy up?
So that's my friend Blue Crusher. And so Blue Crusher, you can continue living in the home, but you're not supposed to be using the stuff that we bring in. And yes, that can be tricky with children. So we kind of limit what those items are. When it comes to things like soft goods, like bedding and things like that, basically what we want to do is stage the same day you're going to have your photos done. So you get your photos done, and then you can quickly take a picture of how we set it up so that you know what your bed is supposed to look like. And then you're going to take everything off, and you're going to keep it stored somewhere safe, like in a nice big baggie or something like that. When you have showings or open houses, you're going to put it all back on the bed. So because you've taken that photo, with your phone, your iPhone or whatever, you know exactly how to set it up. So no, we're not going to come back and fluff it up and make it look nice again. You're going to be responsible for that. But yeah, so when there are children or pets, it does tend to limit a little bit of what we do, but we can definitely still do lots of things. So, lots of art and decor, and definitely some of like the fluffy stuff like throws and some rugs, and obviously all the hard furniture like coffee tables and things like that, lamps, all that. We can still do all of that. So yeah, living in it day to day is a bit tricky. We just ask you not to actually, use our stuff.
So we have another question from the chat box from Jackie for you as well. So, and it might be part and parcel for Ishpreet. So the first part may be for Ishpreet. When a house is in probate, how long is that process currently taking? And for Corinne, at what point do you deal with the volume of stuff to do staging and photos?
So maybe I'll start with the first part of that question. So probate, I mean, it does fluctuate. And I'll just preface it by saying I don't practice estate planning, but my understanding of the general timeline is it does take between 6 to 8 months for that, from the time the application is put in to the grant being issued by the Supreme Court.
So I'm just going to see if Jackie can clarify a little bit about that last question. I'm not exactly sure what is meant by that. And Wendy wants to know if she needs to leave the house when I do the staging. Yes, please. No agents, no homeowners, no pets, no kids. You get to leave and come back to this amazing house. As a matter of fact, I've never heard someone say, oh, this place looks really ugly. They're always amazed. They come home and they're like, most of the time they're like, oh my God, is this still my house? Most of the time they can't even believe it's the same place. So I could take a stab at this. At what point do you deal with the stuff? The volumes of stuff. Well, we have a warehouse, so that's where it's all sits when we're not using it. I'm not sure if that's the question.
You know what? I think because I do a lot of probate sales, and because it does typically take 4 months or longer once you start the process, it's a long ways out. And sometimes the furniture or pieces inside, they may want to keep or may want to sell. Maybe you don't want to use it, but typically, like, maybe when do you stage it so that you're prepared to go live with listing it during that time you're waiting for probate? And you can actually sell your home while you're waiting for probate, or the property, I should say, and it would just be subject to probate going through. So your buyer would have their typical subjects. Once they remove their subjects, there'll be that one last subject left, and that subject is for your benefit, the seller, and it's for probate to go through. And we arbitrarily choose a date for closing when we feel like probate will happen, but it's subject to probate going through. So maybe your question, or the question might be, when do we do it so that we're prepared, and when do we sell it? So it's pretty much any time, as long as it's subject to probate, you can start the process with Corinne.
Yeah, and as far as staging goes, you want to stage it as soon as you're ready to list it. So we don't want to like stage it and then just have it sit there and not be showing it to people. So, you know, to Michelle's point, like, you want to wait till the right time, but we don't want to stage a house and then have it sit there while it's, you know, you're waiting for the probate to go through. And so I would just say, when you're ready, when you are at the point where you can actually sell it. And in the meantime, I don't know, like, if you can start cleaning out the stuff ahead of time, that's probably even better, because there's always clutter to get rid of. And I can always come in ahead of time and do a consultation so that you can get started on that stuff. And I can say, well, keep this and keep this, but let's get rid of all this. So maybe that helps answer the question a little bit.
And it always takes longer than you think.
100%.
Awesome. We're going to give it another minute here, see if anybody else has any questions they want to share or ask. If they don't, I'm going to go to the next slide. Do you think we should go to the next slide, Brandon?
We should.
Awesome. So it is the best time of the night. It is time to draw our winners, but I have one more slide I would like to show before we do that. We are going to be hosting a investing in real estate seminar. It's our next step in our Real Estate Why seminar, May 19th. 7 p.m. Zoom. If you know somebody who's an investor, you know somebody that likes to collect homes, you know, professional landlords, we love them. Please, please, please share our information. We will have all of the advertisements out there in a couple of weeks, and we really, really want you to join us. Like I said, it is our next seminar in our Real Estate Wise series, focusing all on investing in real estate. 7 p.m. May 19th, Zoom. Details to follow. Please reach out if you have any questions. I am going to stop sharing my screen so Brandon can lead us in our giveaway. There you go.
Awesome. So at this time here, the people that have attended, we're going to be doing a $100 Visa gift card giveaway. And we are going to have one lucky winner where we're going to do it live. So that you know that we are not just picking someone that we like. All right. Although we like all of you. This is awesome. So 3, 2, 1. Yeah. So thank you, Jackie, for being able to attend and being able to hop on. You actually came from our Facebook Live. So that is the power of being able to hop on and attend. You not only learned some amazing knowledge, but you also got paid to do it. So
Crazy.
How cool is that, Jackie?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So thank you for being able to attend and being able to hop on. So we're going to stay on for another 5 to 10 minutes, be able to answer any further questions. And thank you for being able to attend. We have our next one here, May 19th. And just as fun and flamboyant and educational as this one is, our next one is going to be that much better.
Hey, Brandon, do we have any questions or any sort of comments on our Facebook Live? Maybe we should check in on that quickly.
Yeah, nothing on the Facebook Live. We have a couple comments. No questions here just yet, though.
Okay, no worries. Stay on for a couple more minutes.
Awesome. Very cool. So this is where the Visa gift card, Jackie, will be coming via an email or via the mail if you can be able to send me over whichever the best way to get that to you is. That'd be awesome.
Sorry, I missed that, Brandon. I went over to Facebook to just see where I was in that. So I was both places.
Sounds good. If you can, if you register with your email, that is great. We can send it via email, or if you'd like it sent directly to the house, we can actually send it to the mail. So if you just shoot me a message here on the Facebook, we'll get that organized and sent over to you. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you. And I like the idea. I had never heard of a pre-sale inspection. That's an interesting thing. So that was cool.
We can actually send it to the mail. So if you just
I had never.
So, no, that's perfect. Yeah, and with the pre-sale inspection, it's something you wouldn't necessarily think about, but for the reasons that Ken explained here tonight, it's worth its weight in gold when it comes to negotiating. Isn't that right, Michele?
It completely is. It's nothing like having a bad surprise later on as a seller, and then the buyer comes back to renegotiate. It's stressful enough having to wait for subjects to be removed than to have that happen.
I would imagine, especially in like an older home where maybe like when I bought my house, it was only 8 years old. And I mean, I still had an inspection done, but it didn't feel quite as urgent. You know, like the roof was still good. Everything, you know, was still new enough and whatever. But I can imagine that, you know, there's lots of homes that are on the market or that are a little bit older, and there may be even more issues that you would definitely want to nip in the bud. You know, what happened, I imagine like what happens is someone looks at a home and they see one thing wrong, then they're going to start looking for other things that are wrong, rather than if they see something that's right, they go, oh, well, what else do I love about this place? Right? So that's kind of how our minds work.
I guess it would also help with the disclosures on the sale as well too. So you would know exactly, you know, what any potential issues are. Like if you weren't aware, or in this idea of probate, if your family's selling, then it would give you some direction and to be able to disclose, because if you haven't disclosed everything and there was something, then that could probably stop the process right there, and you've already invested staging, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. And it's a
Good point.
confidence for the buyer, and for you, the seller, you want to give a good property and home to the next buyer, especially, you know, if you grew your whole family there up, and, you know, you want to leave a nice home for somebody else. So it helps with that. And it just gives that buyer so much confidence when they go into offer, and they'll offer more because of it.
Well, not only that, it's not an expense now for the buyer to have to consider. You've already paid for it and potentially looked after any issues that have come up. So
Exactly.
kind of a nice incentive.
Awesome. Well, we are going to call it a night on our Real Estate Wise webinar home seller series. I want to thank you guys all for attending. If you want to reach out to any of us, you have the contact information. If you have any questions about what you heard, we actually have been recording this here on our Facebook Live. So that is where you'll be able to actually play back what you heard here today, if and when it applies to your selling situation. Thank you, everybody, for being able to attend, and we will see you at our next seminar. Take care.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.